Yeah.
98 Degrees has a new album coming out this year, Full Circle.
Yep.
They were just in Vegas, spent a New Year's Eve in Vegas, performed some of their new music. They're back together, 98 Degrees I'm talking about. And one of the members of 98 Degrees has a lot of Stark County roots, some deep Stark County roots. That's Jeff Timmons, and we are lucky enough to have him joining us this morning to talk for a few minutes, both on the show and on the live video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Jeff, good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. How are you guys?
We're
doing all right, man. Boy, you guys are busy these days, huh?
Yeah, it's nice. It's been great. Yeah, I mean, the holidays were pretty amazing. We just got off of a little mini tour in October. And then, of course, thanks for mentioning that New Year's special we did here in Vegas. I live in Vegas, so it was kind of a homecoming for me. It was nice. Yeah, we're lucky to be busy. New music, like you had mentioned, and excited to be on with you guys. Be back, like you said, to my roots. And I went to college there for a very short time at Mount Union, so I'm familiar with the station. Done a bunch of stuff with you guys in the past. Nicolina's amazing. Tell her I said hello, and
we will.
And thanks a lot, guys.
So let's get into it now. How did it come to be? I'm sure, obviously, through all the years, you guys have stayed in touch. You're very close. But how did the decision come? Like, you know what, man? It's time not only to get back together a little bit and do some things, but let's get in the studio. Because I know you're a studio rat. You love being in the studio.
Yeah, thanks for knowing that. Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite part of this. Of course, it's great getting up and performing and doing all that stuff. I mean, it's always an honor and a pleasure to do that. But I love being in here in the studio and recording music. But as you know, the business keeps evolving and changing. And so what we were used to when we were back in our heyday was, putting out an album and you work singles, and the streaming stuff's all very new to us. And we put out some music in the past, and always for artists outside of being a writer, music's always been a lost leader. You put out music to draw attention to your tours and your merchandise and your brand and all that stuff. And you really don't, monetize music very well. But, technology like this, I mean, we're live on the radio and streaming at the same time. And, your ability to engage with your fans and have the excitement for them to be a catalyst for us to get out there and do new music like we're doing is all the inspiration we needed. So we're excited to finally be back in there again. And we've got some really good stuff, and album's called Full Circle because we've been around a long time. It's pretty much full circle. We're back to our roots, like you had mentioned before, and just doing the music that's sort of our sound and our signature, and not trying to overthink it, just trying to have fun and give the fans what they want.
When you guys got back in the studio for the first time, was it honestly like no time had passed? Like what was it like when you guys, seriously, before you got in there, not to hang out, but to record music again after it had been so long? Well, take me to what that feeling was like.
It's awesome. I mean, look, we've been around for such a long time that you had to like record the tape. When we first
right.
First album, it was on tape. It wasn't digital. I mean, you literally you had to sit there and rewind the tape and do the take again. Now you just get in there and it's kind of cool because you just get in there and do as many takes as you can, get the vibe, and sort of put it together afterwards. But yeah, I mean, we've been performing together and individually for so long, over 25 plus years now, that there's a knack for it. And when we get back in there, we have a creative vibe with each other, which is pretty amazing and unique. And we feel very fortunate we're still able to do it.
Awesome. New music coming out. I know there's a pre-order going on right now. Can you tell everybody who might be interested in grabbing a copy of this new Full Circle album how they can do that?
Yeah. I mean, it's up on all the links to the pre-order are up on our socials, which are all 98 Degrees, and our individual socials, if you know the members. And of course, 98degrees.com has all the information there. And what's cool about this is we're delivering stuff to the fans. So if you buy, you can get a signed vinyl, which is back in vogue. I just did something for a TV show in a vinyl store yesterday in LA, which is cool that vinyl's back, but CDs are now making a comeback as well. You can pre-order the signed CD and album and become part of this fan club where you get these digital exclusive, like digital behind the scenes footage, digital songs, digital photos, all kinds of unique stuff. And what's interesting is, when we're telling people you can get the vinyl or the CD, you don't have to have a record player or a CD player. You get the digital version as well. So, I mean, it's a really cool way to engage our fans, get people excited about it. And then I think the album comes out sometime in April when we start touring again. And it's gonna be some good stuff. We're really, really thrilled to be able to do it right now.
You know what's one of the cool things about your guys group? A couple things. One is you guys weren't put together by a record label.
No.
You four decided, you put yourselves together. But how hard was it from doing that to realizing A, this is working, and then B, to getting a record deal? Because like I said, it's a lot. I'm not saying it's easy, but when you're put together by a record company, it is a lot easier. You took a more difficult path to this success.
Well, yeah, thanks for knowing that. A lot of people, we're considered, of course, we're much older now, but we were considered a boy band. We were put into this category. And back then, boy bands were put together by labels. You auditioned and, you had like the Svengali, like Lou Pearlman or Jive Records or these people that were sort of pulling the strings behind the scenes, and they sort of put a roadmap in front of you and put a lot of resources behind you. We didn't do that. There wasn't any boy bands at that time. We didn't even know what that term was. It was only boys to men and vocal groups like Jodeci, who we were inspired by, and of course all the old groups. Yeah, we formed in Ohio there. I started the group with some people from Massillon, and you didn't have resources like this and Snapchat and YouTube and American Idol and ways to get your music out there virally. So you had to go where the scene was. It was either LA or New York. And so that's what we did. We put ourselves together and formulated there at Kent State University, went to California and started singing for our supper. Essentially, we sang a cappella everywhere and tried to get discovered that way. The original guys ended up going back to Ohio, and I met some other guys that were from Ohio, and we started 98 Degrees there and snuck backstage and all those old school stories. That was our story. And certainly we passed a demo tape, a tape around at that time to the labels, and eventually we got signed to Motown, which is exactly where we wanted to be signed, because it's such a legendary label, and certainly we looked back and we're always envious and sort of coveted the teams that those guys had behind them and those resources. But many years later, I don't think we changed a thing. I mean, it was a great experience for us, the grassroots element of it, touring around and trying to get ourselves out there and promoting ourselves like sort of old school bands do. It added a lot of character and gave us a lot of introspect and respect for the business and sort of what it takes to be successful. So the journey was unique and interesting and fun. And we certainly have a lot of gratitude for the journey.
So we just received someone sent us a picture, and I just thought this was so cool. And I wish I was trying to get it over to Jake. I don't know that I can do it quickly enough, but they sent in, said how much they're enjoying this interview right now. But they sent in a picture of their 90 Degrees ticket stub from June 27th, 1999.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
He's like, there it is. Yeah,
there it is.
I mean, an old ticket. Yeah, certainly that's interesting that fans still have that stuff. And that's kind of the stuff that we're putting into this, what's called like this 98 Degrees Den. When you order the album, you get like things like that, little memorabilia items, like stuff from our demos and behind the scenes when we were on the road and in different parts of the world, stuff that's never really been out there, those unique things. And a lot of the stuff is fan content that they had sent in and said, hey, this, do you remember this? And certainly it's been such a long time, we don't remember all of it, but it's interesting to be around 20 plus years later and have people have tickets from our very first shows and all that stuff. It's very humbling.
I was just going to say, I was going to ask you, what's that feel like to know that someone listening right now on the radio is hearing you on and goes, hey, I got to show them this ticket stub because they kept it all these years of just to go see you guys perform. It just shows you just one person of the millions you guys affected with your career and your music.
Well, it's like an honor. I mean, it's an honor and it's humbling. You think you'd be like, oh, wow, but to be around that long and to be doing this, I started this group at Kent State with some friends and we were trying to, meet girls and be cool, and we weren't, but we thought it would work. And then for it to turn into something like this many years later, where the impact of what we did with our music really transcends kind of what our vision was for it. We just wanted to have fun and kind of take the journey and be famous, all the stuff that young guys have in their mind. But we never expected that the music would have the impact that it has on people so many years later. And if it's affected one person we're excited about, let alone different people from all over the world over such a long time, it is very, very, it's definitely a lot bigger than each of us individually or what we expected to happen with it. So we feel honored that people have that kind of stuff nowadays.
Yeah, no, this ticket, just so you know, because I'm sure it's hard to remember where you were. June 27th, 1999 was from Polaris Amphitheater. And she said she had to hold on to it and had to pass it along because she still vividly remembers how amazing that show was. So
I love it. Well, thank you for having that and coming to that and tuning in today. I mean, all of it, it's sort of icing on the cake for what we thought would be a cool career. So I very much appreciate that.
You know, another compliment for you guys. This one's going to be a little weird, but I was talking to Lauren about it.
Great.
Is when I think back at that time of music, you got to understand. I was a kid going to YSU, Youngstown State University, in my black Cavalier, and I had 98 Degrees, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys CDs in my visor. Man, that was me driving around YSU. But one thing that I noticed that you guys, above all of those groups in that time, you guys were the most ripped.
Oh,
You guys were jacked. I mean, if there was any type of CrossFit or strength
lot of gym
contest,
time.
you guys were going to win that one. I mean,
CrossFit didn't exist at that time, you know.
Not back then.
no, but I mean, like you were the ripped group of guys, man. You had the camo pants.
Oh yeah,
The
tanks.
the tanks. In
Yeah.
case you're wondering if I was really a fan, listen, I mean,
You
yeah,
Googled it.
I was a senior in high school
Yeah.
at Hoover. And so when it came out, everybody was like, "Go, these guys are local." I'm like, "What?"
These guys are
And
jacked.
everybody went and got your album, and it was amazing. I mean, and this even still to this day, when some of those songs come on the radio, word for word, we all remember those.
And to a
lyrics,
credit,
so.
you guys all look amazing. Still.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. I mean, look, I mean, we were all into athletics. So, obviously when you get signed, eventually the label always tries to find ways to market you. And thanks for the kind words, by the way. I love hearing Hoover and Youngstown State, being from Massillon. And I went to Perry High School and Massillon High School. So I love hearing those locations where I grew up and people supporting, the music. But yeah, I mean, that was their thing. They were like, well, you guys are in pretty good shape. Let's just not really overthink it and put you in some tank tops and all that stuff. And trust me, we were super uncomfortable doing it, but that was sort of how they marketed us, as sort of being the blue collar guys, blue collar boy band. And that's, that's kind of was our niche and all that stuff. And we try to keep up with it. We don't want our wives to leave us. So we try to be in the best shape as possible.
That's a good way to think of things.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, Jeff, the album Full Circle comes out later this year. Can you just tell listeners and your fans what they can expect when they get their hands on, they get to listen to it?
Yeah, well, I mean, for us, we've been talking about re-recording our masters for a long time. Now it's in vogue. Once Taylor Swift does it, everybody's got to do it, right? So we have been talking about that for a long time, kind of getting ownership of our material. I mean, some of the songs we've had, up to 10 hits on the top 40 charts. We're re-recording our 5 biggest ones, including that on the album. 5 new songs that are really, really true to our sound, true to the original 98 Degrees, all the 4-part, 5-part harmony in there, and the ballads and mid-tempos. And, we're not going out, doing club songs and all that stuff that's really kind of consistent to our sound, which are our vocals. And we're so excited and thrilled to be back at it. I mean, we've already, got tons and tons of pre-orders. We're shocked about how many we've gotten already. So we're thrilled, and we'll be back on the road all summer. We're actually touring overseas as well, Canada, and it really has come full circle, not to sound corny, but we're back doing the same stuff that we did when we first came out 20 plus years ago. So go check it out. And we'd love to get your feedback on what you think. We're all on our social media and very interested and in tune with what the fans want to hear and see from us. So I appreciate you guys so much for having me on. It's great to have hometown love, and sincerely thankful for you guys and love the station. Please, again, pass along hello to everybody for me.
Absolutely. And when you guys put together that tour, feel free to throw in a Northeast Ohio stop somewhere, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we'll be there for sure. I mean, whether it's Cleveland or Akron or Canton, we'll make sure we're in that area.
Awesome. We'll keep an eye on that too, because we'd love to have you back on in the future.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you guys. Continued success. Thanks so much for having me.